Hello students. So firstly, I want to guide you on how to answer a question in the examination. Now students, if you go to the exam, you may be knowing this will be your screen and I have effectively taken the specimen paper too. Now students, one advantage of this examination is that when you open the task 1, now for example, you see here, you can just keep it in the corner and also you can open the word processor what you have and you can also keep that in the corner. Now students, one important thing, there are many strategies you can copy paste, that's also fine, but still students, the best way of analyzing the question is, I'll just give you the exam idea. If I'm not mistaken, understanding the question in SBL, understanding the question is half the answer. The truth is that understanding the question is half the answer. So students, I believe that is very clear for you all at the moment. Now students, if I am not mistaken, the first thing when you go to the examination is you will be seeing a bulky question like this, more than 25 marks or more than 22 marks. Some will go for more than 30. So that will be the range. Firstly, students, you have observed the evaluation skill is the professional skill. So don't worry. But first thing you have to understand is the format. So the format is report. So what you can do is students, you can have two separate sections. One section can be effectively for, if I'm not mistaken, the answer. And please make sure you highlight the answer. And then the other section, if I'm not mistaken, it can be for the answer plan. Because students, as I told you, understanding the question is half the answer. Now, students, in this case, it's not so complicated, it's not so tough, it's not so easier. So the verb here is advise. So students, understand it, advise. It's a level 3 verb. Please look at my verb videos. Now, if it is level 3 verb, the structure should be discussion oriented, logically constructed with some arguments. And also students, if I'm not mistaken, you also need to understand the other aspect. The other aspect, if I'm not mistaken, is there needs to be a conclusion. So I'll write down here logical explanations or logical arguments because it's advice, logical arguments and conclusions. And students, as I already instructed, the conclusions should be futuristic. Understand it very well, students. The conclusion should be futuristic. Now, if you observe this very practical and very clear, now if you observe here, prepare the report to the board, which advice. Now you have to understand it clearly. Financial and non-financial benefits and drawbacks. So you understand financial benefits, non-financial benefit, financial drawbacks, non-financial drawbacks of each of the investment project. Now, students, if you have gone through this, there are two projects, if I'm not mistaken. So I have to write down like this. Option 1, I have to plan it very well. You have to write down financial benefits, and then students, you can write down the financial drawbacks. Financial drawbacks. I will upload the answer for this as well, so you get the clarity clearly. And then students, you have to also say the non-financial benefits and then students, non-financial drawbacks. Non-financial benefits, non-financial drawbacks. And the examiner's recommended approach is that you effectively write the answer more with headings so that it will be very easier for him to mark the exam. Then students, if I'm not mistaken, they have the option number 2. Now, if you observe the option number 2, also it's not so complicated. Again, you have to go with the financial benefits of that option 2 and then financial drawbacks, financial drawbacks. And then students, if I am not mistaken, non-financial benefits, and then students, non-financial drawbacks. Make sure that you are very clear with this writing styles because it is important. And finally, students, the second bullet is recommend. The second bullet is what, students? Recommend. So when you are recommending with reason, which, if any, should be chosen, or if should be chosen, if any, if you are thinking any. So in that case, you have to write down the action plan, and finally there needs to be a conclusion. So you need to make your assumption very clearly. Now, students, count the number of headings: 1, 2, 3, 4. Option 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you observe, totally 8 headings are there. So the total marks here is 26 marks. And students, if you divide it by 2, you need to have 13 headings. So recommendation, if you see 9, 10, 11. So in this case, you have to make an assumption. Now, since there is 8 headings here, I will effectively give 3 marks or 2.5 marks or 2 marks, and I'm going to write down this more sensibly in the exam. So students, when you go to the examination, please make sure you do a structure properly before you start writing the answer. Because the structurization of the answer is very, very, very critical in order to pass the examination. I believe it is very, very clear and practical for you students. And thank you very much. All the best with your preparation. Just remember, the answer planning is very critical. Thank you, students.